Come with me to spend 4 days in Ireland. After landing in Dublin, we hopped on a bus to Galway City. This was a 3-hour-long ride. Then we Ubered from the bus stop in Galway to the Glenlo Abbey Hotel, where we got a very warm welcome. And I'll talk a little bit more about where we stayed later. We were definitely tired after our overnight flight, but we hit the ground running. We Ubered right back into Galway City and started exploring. Our first stop was Thomas Dillon for a clotter ring. There are so many great shops and pubs. We wandered around and then we decided to go check out the Spanish Arch and the Long Walk, as you can see here. This walk takes you along the river and it was really beautiful. We had a great time. We did get hailed on, so we stood under a cover for like 15 minutes and then all of a sudden the sun was back out. We were pretty tired, so we grabbed an early dinner at the pub and then headed back to our hotel. So we stayed at the Glenlo Abbey Hotel, and it was absolutely beautiful. We were about a 15-minute drive out of the Galway city centre. The room was beautiful and very clean. This is a 4-star hotel, so they offer turn-down service at night, and of course, robes and slippers, all the offerings. And our room did have a beautiful view of the former Abbey, as well as the rest of the property. The estate also offers a lot of activities. We were there in the winter, but in the spring and summer there's golf, there's a spa, and then there's also a falconry experience, which we didn't have time for this time, but we did take some time to walk the property and really check out the estate. Behind the hotel, you'll see a train car. This is the Pullman. It is a Michelin star restaurant. Inside, 2 carriages from the original Orient Express. They also have this great little cocktail bar. We got French martinis, which were delicious. Then we headed to bed, which I have to say, these were like the comfiest beds ever. Okay, breakfast here, we were honestly really blown away by. The setup was beautiful, the dining room was beautiful, the service was amazing. The service at this place in general was awesome. This is the cold bar. I can't even show you every single thing they had. It was like to die for. And then we have to get a replay. Look at that honey. And then they also had a hot breakfast menu that you could order from. They'd bring you your coffee and tea. And then this was our view during breakfast, which was just beautiful of the whole estate. Then it was time to Uber into Galway City for our tour. We met here at Ayr Square. And our tour was with Wild Atlantic Tours. Our tour guide was Alan, and we loved him. So Alan would hop on the microphone and tell us about something we were driving through, a town we were passing through, something he wanted to point out. And then the rest of the time, he was playing Irish music on the bus. So it was really fun. Our first stop was Dunguaire Castle. We got to walk around. The castle itself wasn't open, but the grounds were. It was pretty muddy here, but it was really cool to see a castle in real life.
Unfortunate name. It's actually called the Galway Hooker. Don't mistake it for anything. You think we're all weird in Galway. We're not. There's loads of things named after us. Like you'll see the Hooker beer
Then we stopped at the Hazel Mountain Chocolate Factory. We got a brief tour and overview, and then we got to shop for chocolate. This place was awesome, and we got a lot of treats for the bus here, and a lot of souvenirs here as well. After the chocolate factory, we drove through some more beautiful scenery. Alan talked a lot about the history of Ireland and the history of the Irish famine.
Horrible decisions made by just a handful of people. And it doesn't take much. All it takes is 1 or 2 people in a powerful position, and it can affect millions. So just remember, not the English people. We don't blame the English people for the famine. We blame the politicians at the time.
We eventually turned onto Wild Atlantic Way, which gives you just beautiful, beautiful views. To drive the entire duration of the Wild Atlantic Way would take 32 hours. This road was not designed for cars or big tour buses. These were really, really tiny roads, so we were pulling over a lot for other cars. It made me very glad to be on a bus and not driving it myself. Then we stopped in the tiny town of Doolin for lunch. We ate at Fitzpatrick's pub and we had about an hour here. If you're here in summer months, Doolin is where you can get the ferry that goes to the Aran Islands. After lunch, Alan took us down to this really pretty photo spot. This parking lot here in the summer, cars would be parked there, but he explained that in the winter, these waves are just absolutely brutal. There's rocks everywhere, and he warned us all to be careful and watch our ankles. Almost just twisted an ankle. And we hung out here for about 15 minutes just enjoying the waves. Back on the road for a bit, and then before we knew it, we were already at the cliffs, and this stop was 2 hours. First stop is the visitor center. There are restrooms, there's some food in here, a gift shop, and there's also a lot of information where you can learn about the cliffs. Then it was time to just take in the beauty of the cliffs. You can see some clouds here, but by the end of our visit, the sun was out, which was amazing. The 2 hours that Alan gave us to explore here was perfect. I'd say we spent a good hour and a half just walking back and forth, looking at all the different angles of the cliffs, kind of enjoying just the hike and being in nature in Ireland. Look at all these rolling fields. And then we also even had time to grab a sweatshirt in the gift shop on our way out. Not gonna lie, it was really hard to say goodbye to the cliffs. This was definitely a highlight of our trip. On our drive back to Galway, we passed through the town of Lisdoonvarna, where a matchmaking festival is held every September.
Just the details in there, and then he flicks through the pages, and then you come back in the evening time or the weekend, and the ceremony takes place.
Before we knew it, we were back where we started in Ayr Square. We said goodbye to Alan and everyone else from our tour and Ubered back to our hotel, where we grabbed a great dinner at Palmer's Bar and Kitchen. After another fabulous breakfast service at the Glenlo Abbey, we walked to the estate. We were actually looking for an apiary because we saw that they had one and they had this wonderful fresh honey at breakfast, but it turns out in the winter that is closed. In the summer, if you're there, definitely check it out. Then it was time to head back into Galway City and get on our train back into Dublin. This was about a 3-hour ride. Once in Dublin, we dropped our bags off at our hotel. We stayed in the Temple Bar area just to be close to everything we wanted to see. We walked to Guinness Storehouse, which was about 30 minutes from our hotel. The Guinness Storehouse tour is self-guided, and it begins with looking at the 9,000-year lease Arthur Guinness signed for the St. James Gate brewery site. Next, you learn about the growing and brewing process of Guinness. And then there's a tasting room where they show you how to taste Guinness properly and get all the notes. If you're a Guinness fan, you'll like this. The advertising floor was definitely my favorite. They have all their most iconic ads up here. We purchased the ticket with the Stouty Experience add-on for 8 extra euros. They take a photo of you and then they add it onto your pint. It's kind of fun. Once the tour is done, everyone heads up to the Gravity Bar for your free pint of Guinness, and this is a beautiful view of Dublin. After grabbing dinner, we walked along the beautiful Halfpenny Bridge and the River Liffey, and then called it a night. So for today in Dublin, we decided to follow a Rick Steves audio guide. He is full of just so much knowledge about any city you go to and shows you a lot of things that you wouldn't have known were there. The audio guide had us start in St. Stephen's Green, which we really enjoyed looking around here. On this arch, there are actually bullet holes that have a lot of historical significance. They're from the British Army firing at Irish that were occupying this park. Shout out to Rick for that fact. The audio guide included churches, Grafton Street, and then we wound up at Trinity College. Here's where you can do the Book of Kells experience if you're interested in seeing it. We of course visited the Molly Malone statue. We visited Dublin Castle, and we ended up paying the €8 to walk around inside and tour the inside. I would say, if you have extra time and you want to do it, it's kind of cool to see. Not really something that I would say is a can't miss. It was raining, so we wanted to get inside. We had lunch at the Bank restaurant. This actually used to be an old bank in Ireland, and they had a replica of the Book of Kells, which was fun to see. This place was great and so beautiful inside. And then after lunch, we began our walk along the river down to the Jameson Distillery. Our favorite thing by far that we did in Dublin was the 60-minute cocktail class at the Jameson Distillery. You get to wear these awesome Jameson aprons. You sadly don't get to take them home. And they teach you all about the tools needed to make the perfect cocktail, how to properly use a shaker, and then how to make the perfect old-fashioned and a delicious whiskey sour. After class is over, there's a spot in the bar reserved only for people who took the cocktail class. So we sat with everyone else, finished our cocktails, and got to know everyone. This was a lot of fun. Of course, because it was our last night, we had to visit the Temple Bar. This was super packed. We only stayed for a little bit. Then we grabbed some dinner and called it a night so we could be up for our early flight out of Ireland.